Thank you. Okay. So I just got a loud message up saying this meeting is being recorded. So I hope you all heard that as well. I trust that nobody has a problem with it being recorded. And we will try and make it available to anybody who isn't able to be here this evening after the meeting. So I'm going to do a little introduction before handing over to Hugh. So welcome everyone to this talk, which is being hosted by Climate Action Now RISBRA Group. And before we start the talk, I'd like to say a few words about CANR for those of you who don't know us. The group was started in 2019 to provide a focus for local action on climate change. We believe that urgent action is needed as individuals and also as a town in order to reduce the impacts. And also that most of the changes that are needed will create improvements in all of our lives and in the way in which we live in and experience the town. As CANR, we share information and resources amongst ourselves, as well as with the wider public and with the town council where possible. And we look forward to working with the new councillors. As well as these Zoom events, we used to hold events in person, if you can remember back that far. And these included a zero carbon cafe and a repair cafe. We also provide some support to local schools and are about to do some work with Griffin House School on an awareness project that they are running in June for their students. We also work closely with other groups, including RISBRA Environmental Group, and we're also members of Bucks Climate Action Alliance, which campaigns across the county. We share information on WhatsApp and send out a newsletter to our wider group. We also run a WhatsApp group just to help people share and keep up to date with relevant public campaigns. So if you want any information on any of those, then please put a comment in the chat and we'll address that. We hope that one of our next projects will be to promote a solar streets scheme for the town in the summer, which will reduce the cost of a solar panel installation by being part of a group purchasing scheme. At the moment, we're planning that our next CANR Presents event in June will support this. So watch out for that Zoom if you're interested. If you have any green projects that you think that we should support, then please get in touch or put a comment in the chat and we'll try and help to make it work, or maybe just put you in touch with one of the RISBRA Together councillors who may be supportive. Or if you want to join us, if you just want to be part of the growing network of voices discussing and promoting these beneficial changes. So on to this evening. Today's session is being presented by Hugh Thomas Davis. Hugh has recently opened the repair barn at Culverton Farm on the Wickham Road in order to help keep stuff out of landfill. The title, as you probably all know, is Repair Aspects of the Circular Economy. Hugh is going to tell us why it's important, how we can help, and what the role of the repair barn might be. I think that the talk might be 30 minutes and we'll have time for some questions at the end. So if you put those into the chat box and we'll collate those as we go through the talk. Thanks very much. And I'd now like to hand over to Hugh.
Thank you very much, Jaganrup. Hopefully everybody can see the slides. So as Jaganrup said, we're going to be talking about repair as an aspect of the circular economy. The agenda is looking at the importance of repair as an aspect of the circular economy, looking at models for extending the life of products and materials, some of the barriers to repair, some practical starting points for repair, and a short introduction to repairservice.uk, which is our website, and a short tour of the repair barn. So hopefully that will be of interest. So I thought I'd start with this, which these are the Sustainable Development Goals, which you may well be familiar with. This came out of the 2015 Paris Agreement, and all the member countries of the United Nations signed the signed the agreement. So it means that we as a country have signed up to this. And one of the goals is goal number 12, responsible consumption and production. And this is all about how we use our resources and how we manage our waste. So it's just, and the reason I mention this is that it just shows that we as a country are committed to this and we are being measured on it, and it's important to us. So, so that's another reason that this repair is important. But in terms of the circular economy, what is that? A circular economy is based on the principles of designing out waste and pollution, keeping products and materials in use, and regenerating natural systems, keeping products and materials in use. So this is all about doing things differently from the way that we've done them in the recent past. In the distant past, always we repaired things and we recycled things, but in recent past it hasn't been like that. So this is a diagram which shows the circular economy, but the top line is actually the linear economy. This is the take, make, use and waste scenario. So this is where we extract a resource, take it to a factory or a production facility, make something out of it, use that, and then we throw it away. Clearly not sustainable. The bottom is the circular economy. We extract the resource, we take it to a factory, we make something out of it, we use it, we might then reuse it, or we might repair it, or we might remake it or remanufacture it. And if we can't do any of those, then we'll take it to pieces and we will recycle the components. That's the idea of the circular economy. So how can we reduce waste? There are two ideas behind this. There is one which is to think of waste as a byproduct with value. So in other words, it's not something that we that is a liability for us. It's something that is an asset. We just need to find how we can use that asset. And the other aspect is we need to try and repair, refurbish and recycle in whatever ways that we can. So there are a few models for extending the life of products and materials. There's reuse, and reuse obviously means purchasing secondhand items or selling secondhand items or giving things away for reuse. And obviously eBay has been a major factor in that. In the olden days, we used to advertise in the newspaper or put a notice in the shop window. Now it's actually become more mainstream to actually find reuse options through platforms such as eBay. Repair. So this is clearly what we're focusing on today, but extending the life by finding ways of repairing these items. And actually, the more you look, the more you see actually there are lots of different options for repair, but they don't cover a huge, the entire range of things that we have. So there's an organization called iFixit, and iFixit have a real passion for repairing things, and they're one of the organizations driving the Right to Repair campaign. They have a website, and on their website you can find thousands of manuals on how to repair specific pieces of equipment, mainly household devices, electronic goods, and so on. And also iFixit sell some of the spares as well. So a tremendously useful resource. Then there's the remanufacture aspect. So remanufacture or remake is also going to become increasingly important, I think. There's a company called Vanguard, and those of you who came to the barn opening last week may have met somebody called Paul Broadberry, and Paul is the sole employee of a company called Vanguard. And what Vanguard do is they remanufacture medical devices. So these are things that are used in hospitals, in operations. They cost several £100, these specific devices. Don't ask me exactly what they are because I can never remember. And they take them to pieces, they remanufacture, or they make new components, and they put these things together and they sell them back to the hospital for less than half the price of the original. And of course, um, it's good for the hospitals because they don't have the issue of waste. It's good for the hospitals because they have these products at significantly discounted prices. But of course, the manufacturers don't like that, and they try to put in different mechanisms to make that more difficult. Then there's the recycling aspect, and I think it would be fair to say that this is becoming an increasing focus, and there are some great companies locally who do this. So I've put the Aylesbury Granulation Service logo up there. They're a small plastic granulation company in Aylesbury. What they do is they take products like old wheelie bins and other large plastic items, and they put them through their grinder. They create pellets out of this. They then put them in bags and they sell them to organizations that are going to make new things out of them. So it's a tremendously, I think it's an impressive business. It's a very small company, but they do a tremendous job. And then the last item here, when I don't have a star for this, is repurposing. So this means taking an item and making something new out of it. So this is the iFixit. One of the other things you'll find on the iFixit website, they've produced a repairability scoring methodology, and they do repairability scoring on many different types of product. This is the smartphone one, which is probably one that's most interesting to most people. And they look at how repairable each product is. They take it to pieces, and they assess whether it's a scores 10, which is one here, or whether it's lower down the ranking. And if you go onto the website, you'll see they have hundreds of different smartphones in that list, including all the modern iPhones and so on, which are, should we say, lower down the list in terms of repairability. In terms of repurposing, again, there are lots of examples of this which are emerging as well. I'm involved in two groups which do this. One is called Low Carbon Laptops, which collect old laptops which maybe a few years old and not able to function on modern software. They're stripped and installed with open source software, and they can be used by children because they can access the internet, and they can be used for a variety of things. They have limited capability, but nevertheless, they are an access into computing. And then the other one is the Green Skills Library, and this is a group that's based in Maidenhead. But what we're doing here, and I've put some of the projects that I've been working on this. What the Green Skills Library is trying to do is encourage more repurposing, reuse. So lots of projects of how to repurpose an old pallet, for example, or other types of waste. So interesting website and worth a look. We're putting more projects on a weekly basis. Still relatively new and young, but nevertheless growing. So in terms of repair, I think we probably know about the barriers to repair, but I'm going to cover them anyway. Typically, this is what I hear. I can't find a repairer, or I can't fix it myself because I don't have the tools. I don't have the knowledge. I don't have the space, or a repair costs as much as a new one. This has been a big, I think, big challenge for all of us in the last few years because of the cost of new items is so low. It makes justifying the cost of repair difficult at times. So if we're going to make a change, then we need to try and make repair mainstream in British life. And I've got a few ideas here which I wanted to include. So one of them is make it easy to access repair services. Try and keep the cost of repairs down to a level which is affordable. Access to spares is a key issue, and one of the things I was telling Jag and Roop before the beginning of this call was I was working on a rowing machine which was broken. This rowing machine had a label on it saying made in Western Germany, which means that it must have been more than 30 years old because Western Germany was unified with Eastern Germany in 1990. No spares, so we had to improvise, but access to spares is a key challenge for all of us. And the products actually do need to be repairable in the first place. I was talking to Frank from Transition Town Marlow yesterday, and we were talking about repairing toasters. Very difficult to do because you can't open them in the first place. You can, if you could repair them, but you can't get them open. So these products are designed to be easily manufactured, but once you've closed the thing, it becomes very difficult to open it. And replacement items need to be more expensive. Now, I'm sure we don't want to hear that, but if we're going to restrict our consumption, then maybe things need to be a bit more expensive. The other thing about repairs is repairs make people happy. This is a garden bench that was very rotten and needed new slats and a lick of paint, and it made the owner extremely happy to have it returned to her in a shall we say an improved state. This is Neddy. Neddy is a very elderly donkey that belongs to a family who live in Little Chalfont, and they have been looking for a repairer for Neddy for a long time. And anyway, through Liz Hilda, she's repairing Neddy and has reinvigorated him. And so on the left, he was looking very sad. On the right, he's been restuffed and is looking much, much happier than he had been in the past. And he will be reunited with his also refurbished wheels and handle, I think sometime in the next day or two. This is another example. So this very sad looking bench, with a little bit of effort, became the bench on the right. Really lovely bench, and I was very pleased with the way that this came out. So there's a lot of satisfaction in this. It's not just about it's not just about saving resources. It's about actually getting creating beautiful things from things that maybe have just had a little bit of neglect over a few years. So now I'm going to just introduce the repair service. So in order to address some of these issues around repair, we've set up the repairservice.uk, which is a website. And this is developing at the moment, but we're still at the starting point. And the repair service has a number of different components. There's the repair barn, which I'll talk a little bit about in a minute. There's the find a repairer element, which will have a database of repairers on it. So that the idea is that when somebody needs a repair, then they can look on our database and hopefully find somebody that can do the repair for them. There is the training element. So we plan to run some training courses to try and disseminate some of the skills and some of the knowledge that we have. And we will also be putting together or offering a library of things. And a library of things is a library where there is a small subscription that each member pays, and they have access to whatever is in the library. So it could be anything from a tool to a picnic table, for example. And I'll show you the example that we've got from Bath in a little bit later on in the presentation. So the barriers to repair. Can't find a repairer. Well, if we can't help in the repair barn, let's look at our database. Can't fix it myself because I don't have the tools. Well, if you don't have the tools, have you tried our library of things? I don't have the knowledge or skills. Why not join one of our courses or check out the Green Skills Library? I don't have the space. Well, you could rent a workbench. A repair costs as much as a new one. Well, we'll try and simplify the cost of price, try and simplify the pricing of repairs. So welcome to the repair barn. And this is Graham working on a carpet cleaner a few days, was it yesterday or the day before? And our mission here is to try and keep things in use by repairing in our repair barn in Princess Risborough. So we took this to pieces, we put it back together again. Graham, I'm sorry to say, I still haven't fixed it. So I've ordered some spare parts. I think I know what the issue is. So the categories that we're going to try and repair, and this also means working with others, are the ones that we've ringed in red. So we can't do everything, but as time goes by, we'll know what we can do and some of the things that we unfortunately won't be able to do. But we want to try and do some of the things that aren't being done elsewhere. We do not want to be in competition with anybody. So we'll try and fill the gaps where we find them. So, for example, there's some woodworking, the garden furniture, for example. Machinery. So we had a shredder in the other day and couldn't easily find how to repair it. So we've had to take it to an organization that is doing this as their full-time work. So we try and do it what we can, but we know that quite a lot of the time we're going to need to go elsewhere for some help. So the big question is, to be successful, a repair service needs to be easy to access and not too expensive. So one of the questions that we've been wrestling with is, how should we set our prices? None of us want to be faced with a massive bill. So what we want to try and do is make it as simple as possible. And as a result, we've introduced this concept of t-shirt sizes. So anything small up to 30 minutes, £10 plus materials. A medium-sized repair, which is up to an hour, £20 plus materials, and large, etc. So the idea is trying to make it as simple as possible and hopefully not too expensive. So we haven't got everything ready yet. We have a few things that we're planning but are not there yet. The library of things that I mentioned, our training courses, and we'd like to do some bike maintenance. And I do not want to introduce any element of competition. So where there is a local provider, we'll talk to them first before we do anything like this. And then a database of repairers. So I have a short video here, which I hope you can all see. And so I'm going to be quiet for a second and you'll hear me doing a little commentary. It's a bit embarrassing, to be honest, but I hope it makes sense. So this is the repair barn. And inside this building, which is about 11 meters by 6, we have a variety of things. I'll show you. That's a latest project, giant pair of bellows, which have apparently come from the railway. We used
in getting the fires going inside steam trains. Here, here we have the shelves which are for repairs. So there's the repair backlog on the left-hand side, so things that are waiting to be repaired. And on the right-hand side, things that are done. And actually, the shelves are empty because I've delivered all the items back to their owners and they've collected them. Here we have some power tools. So we have sanders, planer, circular saws, a router, some jigsaws. And here we have a bandsaw. This, by the way, is a project that we've finished now, which is a garden bench, or park bench actually. It's covered in graffiti. So we sanded it down and have put some wood stain on it. It looks great. These are some of the tools that will eventually go into the Library of Things. Library of Things will not just have tools, there will be other things in it as well. So for example, these 3 folding tables. So if somebody's having a party, they can borrow those. We've also got some bunting and various other things. And we haven't even really started yet. This is one of the workbenches. And that's a carpet cleaner. This is the carpet cleaner that I've been working on today. Thought I'd fixed it, but sadly not. So back to the drawing board with that. This is one of the workbenches. And here I've been working on a garden bench. And the garden bench used to be green, like this on the left-hand side. That's the back of it, which I'm going to replace. And the metalwork was all the same color. Anyway, I've sanded it down, painted it black, and that's what we've got now. This is some staging. And the reason we've got staging here is because underneath it there was a sump. This was the home of the grain dryer at one stage, and had a hole in the floor for the grain to be poured in, and then it sucked out and up through the grain dryer. But anyway, we decided to rather than fill it full of concrete and try and level the floor, we put a platform up there, which I think is quite a nice feature, actually. Makes for a nice place to sit and have a cup of coffee. And coffee, by the way, and beer is a very important part of the repair barn. This is the sink, and there's a bicycle which is awaiting attention tomorrow. And the sink has got, for obviously, many uses. We use it for washing up. It's the fridge there on the left. We use it for washing up and a variety of other reasons. Coffee machine and tea. I'll show you the fridge. Not that it's that interesting, but mainly for beer. This is another workbench here, which is mainly for woodworking, but can be used for anything really. This is very solid thing that the bellows are sitting on. It's made out of cast iron, very heavy, and a really solid place to do a variety of work. And these bellows are going to need a lot of work, because you can see the woodworm have got to it and have enjoyed it very much, and have taken part of it completely disappeared. It's gone to dust, thanks to them. And that is probably about it. We have some doors here, so double doors there if we need to use them. This is the main access door, and then we have these French windows on that end. So this is the repair one. You're welcome to come and see us in person and see what we're doing. Thank you.
Right. So what I was going to do is just to share with you what a library of things looks like, and this is Share and Repair from Bath. They already have a library of things. They have standard days when it's open, and they have a number of different categories. And this is what the catalogue looks like. So they have several hundred items in here, from saws through to different types of things like tents and things. They have a really wide range of things, so parties and events. So it's I think quite well done, and I'm impressed with what they do. So what we're looking for, so bearing in mind we only opened last week, we'd love to have more repairers to add to our database. Obviously, we're keen to do what repairs we can, especially garden tools or furniture. A lady came in today with a handheld vacuum cleaner, but she needs some help with some garden furniture, so we're going to do that, hopefully. Love some help to help Graham and I to set up the library of things. Or maybe if you'd like to run a training course, you have some specific skills, then we have the space to do that, and we would love to run some training courses. So that's the end of the slides that I've produced. Are there any questions? And if there are, then perhaps you can either unmute or put them on the chat.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Hugh. Very interesting introduction to the national position and the background and the services that you're hoping to offer. There were a couple of questions that have been put into the chat already. So the first question that we had was, I think this one was from Libby. I have an electric toothbrush that annoyingly needs recharging far too quickly. I don't want to chuck it out. Can it be mended? I'm not up to resoldering. So what could we do? Because you had electronics on your on your categories page. So how could somebody deal with an electric toothbrush?
Do you know? That's a really interesting question. I don't have the answer to that, Libby. But what I will say is that somebody told me yesterday how they'd taken their toothbrush to pieces. I know what it was, so I can ask them for advice on this. So let's take this offline. I will ask for advice, and I will come back to you if I've got an answer to that, because I think a lot of people have the same issue. They have a toothbrush, they charge it up, and it lasts, one or two brushes, and really the batteries come to the end of the life, but that shouldn't be the end of the toothbrush. So I agree.
Thank you. I looked at iFixit after you mentioned it, and it was talking about soldering and said it was difficult, and I thought, oh.
Well, I'm sure we can find somebody who would do that, but I can experiment on my own first. That's the thing.
I don't mind it. You can experiment on my toothbrush if you want, because I mean the only other option is to throw it out, and I don't want to do that. So experiment away.
All right. Well, we'll talk about this, Libby.
Thank you.
Right, lovely. Thank you for that, Hugh. Next one that's come up is from Tony, saying my plumber says he can't repair my leaky kitchen tap because he can't get into it. That's fairly common as well, isn't it? That bits of plumbing aren't very accessible.
Well, obviously, it depends on the type of tap. I'm not really an expert on this, but it should be. You would think it would be possible. I've replaced washers, tap washers in the past, but Tony, I mean, we can certainly have a look at it.
It's
I'm
attached to the
really
sink at the moment.
well. Yes, I know, and you need to turn the water off first, but it is more of a plumbing thing than a repair
It
barn
is,
thing.
yeah.
But this is the kind of thing that is annoying, and it should be easily possible to do.
You can't actually undo any of it. It's a lever mixer tap. And it was the case as well, you just have to replace it. But what's worse, letting it leak a little bit or replacing it? What's worse for the environment? I don't know.
Some of these taps have ceramic. Are they ceramic valves inside?
Oh, right.
And I suspect that they all have a slightly different access method on how to get into them. So a lack of standardization is another hurdle to repairability, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Maybe get a second opinion from another plumber, or I've got an odd job man called Robert Frith who is happy to give his opinion on all sorts of things.
Tony, do you know what type of tap it is, or what make it is and model?
I can't remember. It's been there a long time.
If you could take a picture of it and send it to me, then at least I'll look it up.
Yeah. Okay, I'll do that.
Okay.
I'll do it quickly.
Ask a question?
Yes. Yes, Kath, of course.
So the beautiful benches that you restored, what sort of price are we talking about? Because they're quite large items and it must have taken many hours to refurbish them.
Well, I did them for myself actually, but they don't take that long really. I mean, it's a question of taking the slats off usually, and then I sand those down with a machine, and then repaint them, give them several coats of wood stain and the frame. So it's maybe an hour and a half, I suppose. I mean, it's not a massive amount of time. It's and actually, Kath, I get a lot of satisfaction from doing these things. So it's and I spoke to a lady today who'd like something done with her bench, and I quoted her £20 for that.
Wow. And that includes your labour and the spare, replacement of the wood and things.
Well, I mean, that's assuming that we don't need to change the slats. If we do, then I'll use second-hand mahogany that we have, and we've already got it, so there won't be a cost involved with that. This is where we are at the starting point, Kath. In a year's time, we might have to do things differently, but this is where we are today. So part of this, and I should have mentioned this before, we don't know quite how this. We've obviously been doing this for a week now, so I don't know how this is going to work out. So there's a kind of lot of unknowns in terms of how we make this work, but we'll experiment and see what we can do. But the thing that's really important is we don't make repairs too expensive, because otherwise there's no incentive for them to be repaired.
Thanks for that, Hugh. I had another question, which was, do you need garden tools for your library of things?
Well, the answer is yes, please. Any of these tools would be very gratefully received, and we'll put them in the library and we'll let other people use them. And if they need a little bit of refurbishment, then we'll do that first.
Fantastic.
Right. Can you hear me?
Yes, Gemma.
Gemma.
Oh, thank you. And I've turned the camera on, and so I'm hoping this is going to work.
Oh, it's working now.
Fingers crossed. I just wanted to say hello and thank you for having me. I've recently started working at the recycling centres in Buckinghamshire, but I'm really new to the role, and so this is all really new to me too, and it's really great to hear what's going on in the local area, because I'm really keen to promote repair as much as and reuse as much as possible, and that, like, hearing what you're all getting up to and what you've got planned has been really exciting for me tonight. And so please do, if I put my email in the chat, I would love to stay in touch and hear more, because I think it might be a great partnership moving forwards. And
Yes.
yeah, so hi, and thank you for having me.
Thank you, Gemma. So, Paul, are you asking a question? You're
Yes.
to unmute. Yeah.
Hi. Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes.
Hugh, I think this is fantastic, Hugh. Brilliant, brilliant idea, and I wish you lots of luck and success with it. My question, not being from Princess Risborough, is twofold really. One is, so what's the sort of coverage of your service? You know, will it extend to Wendover, for instance? So that's the first part of the question. The second part is, if the items are quite large, and some of the items you've got are quite large, do you have any way of transporting them? Do you have a sort of a van as well that you can collect and deliver?
I have my people carrier, and that's what I've been using. So
right.
I can get a bench that's 6 foot in it without too much of a problem. But the answer is that yes, I mean we'll come out as far as Wendover, of course. Okay. If there's something to be repaired, then we'll try our best. But obviously, you know, we want to try and what I would love to do is try and encourage a group to, or something similar to establish in all places. So Wendover too. But you know, the Library of Things, we're talking about collaborating with Marlow and Haddenham as well. So yeah, I mean, you know, this is, as far as I'm concerned, is hopefully the beginning of something. And but in terms of, can we help in Wendover? Absolutely, yes,
right.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, right. I will from tonight sort of advertise your services locally on our Facebook page and let them know that you exist. And hopefully, as you say, we can do something similar here as the sort of idea spreads. So great, thank you.
Thank you.
Hugh, I had a question about the Bath Library of Things example.
Yes.
Do you know how they are funded and how they have built up their Library of Things, you know, presumably from a standing start over a period of time? Are they? Do you know if they're all donations, or whether they have a funding arrangement with somebody in order to stock up their what looks like a very extensive list of items?
The answer is I don't know anything about their history. I just I stumbled upon them, and actually what I really like is the tool that they're using to manage their catalogue, which is called the Lend Engine. And the Lend Engine is actually a Welsh company, and they charge very little for the use of their software. But so from that perspective, you know, starting up is relatively inexpensive. Mm-hmm. But in terms of the items that they've got in the library, I suspect it's a mix of donated and purchased items. Right. They have a slightly different model that they operate. So they have a membership. They have a membership of £40 a year, mm-hmm. which is what I was thinking we would probably be looking for in Risborough as well. Mm-hmm. But they also have one where people don't pay a membership and they pay per item, to rent, or they can pay twice the amount that they would, £80 rather than £40, which means that they can give a membership to somebody else. So it's a bit, it's a little bit different from the model that I think, I want to make something really simple if we can in RISBA. So, but in answer to your question, I don't know where their items came from. I don't know whether they've been funded by Bath, any of the local authorities in Bath. I do know that I had a call earlier this week from the community board, and they do have some funding, but I haven't explored exactly how, what that would cover and how that would work. So there does seem to be money around, but I haven't looked at it yet.
That's really interesting, isn't it, Hugh? Was that, can I ask for the community board contact, was that from Jackie Binnings?
Yes.
Right.
So
she was reaching out to you to look for opportunity for collaboration and funding? Well,
there's a small group who are interested in creating a library of things.
Right.
And it was us, it was the, so I was invited, and also a group from Haddenham.
Yeah.
But I've also been talking to Frank from Transition Town Marlow.
Yeah.
And also there's a group in Maidenhead, and all interested in doing the same thing. The question is, within RISBA, do we have the critical mass of people to make it a viable option? And the answer is, I don't know. Until we've looked at, until we start doing this, we won't really know whether we're going to have enough items in there. So if we do it in collaboration with Haddenham and Marlow, then it gives us a much bigger footprint potentially.
Yes.
But this is why I need a little bit of help with this, because I know we need to do this, but I don't know how we're going to do it. So, any volunteers? No. Okay, fair enough.
It's good to hear that Jackie Binnings is involved. I have some experience of her from working with the community boards, and she's a Bucks County officer, and looks very capable of joining the dots and linking up with other council officers as necessary in order to get things done. So that's very positive.
Excellent.
Okay, everybody.
So, Surinder.
I was interested in the campaigning aspect of it. Are there organisations which are good to join or to get information from if you want to campaign for repairability?
Well, actually, there's an organisation called Restart, and Restart is campaigning for the right to repair. Their main focus is on electronics, and they're very active in this area. So I would say they're probably the best option. There's some great groups out there, and probably, I can't say that I have an encyclopedic knowledge of all of these things. So, and I don't. So I do know about the Restart group, but apart from that, obviously the other organization that's really been pushing this is iFixit. So iFixit has been driving the right to repair for some time now, and it's a real passion for them. I think there is a community. I'm probably not as plugged into it as I should be, but coming out of this, that's an action on me. So if I find out more, Surinder, I'll let you know.
Thank you.
just put a couple of links in the chat, actually, one to the Restart project and one to iFixit as well.
Hi there.
Thank you.
I've previously worked with the Restart project in my last role,
Ah,
and yeah, and I can agree they are absolutely fantastic in what they do. And when I heard about what you were doing locally, I got really excited by it. And so I'm really hoping that I can now bring the same sort of thing to Buckinghamshire that we were doing in my last role in the city. And I'm trying to just look out for local groups and anyone that's thinking along the same lines. So I'm quite excited to be here tonight, and yeah, really looking forward to seeing how we might possibly be able to work together in future, because I think it's something that we really might be able to build on and collaborate with together.
well, that sounds great, Gemma. I think I need to find a way of connecting to you, though.
I've already dropped my email into the chat there, so
Okay,
please do
perfect.
get in touch, because it's been really informative for me this evening.
Okay.
But at the same time, I'm really quite new into the role, and so I am still finding my feet and learning about Buckinghamshire itself and the challenges and what we're facing in the different areas. And so this is all quite new to me as well, in that I've been working in town for quite a while, and I'm now, yeah, it's very different, but I'm very excited by it. And so thank you for having me this evening, because it's been a real learning curve to see what you've all been working on, and I really appreciate it, so thank you.
So where are you, Gemma? Are you you're in Buck somewhere, but where?
So I'm not in Buckinghamshire at the moment, actually. I'm not too far away. So I live in in Harefield, and I cover the 9 recycling centres in Buckinghamshire. And I've recently joined as a waste awareness and education manager. And so I've got a real passion for reuse and repair. And I'm trying to see how I can bring this to my new role. And like I said, I've only recently joined during the pandemic, and it's all really quite new to me being in Buckinghamshire, because I've been working in town for so long. And so yeah, I've really enjoyed this evening, and I really appreciate you having me along, so thank you.
Okay, thank you for joining us.
No, thank you, and please do get in touch, because I want to hear more.
Okay.
Can I just ask then, Gemma, is it the case that the 9 recycling sites in Bucks are all run by a separate company? Is that the way it works?
No, so I work for FCC Environment, who are the contractor that are employed by Buckinghamshire Council to run the 9 sites. And so we run the 9 sites across Buckinghamshire. And during the pandemic, I took on the role of the Waste Awareness and Education Manager. But as that was only 6 months ago, it's been quite tricky to try and do any sort of outreach during that time. But it's also been quite helpful for me, because it's given me a chance to learn the role and learn about the sites and Buckinghamshire itself. And so I'm looking at the positives here.
Yeah, great.
So one of the things that I'm very interested in is this whole area of remanufacture, because what we're doing at the moment is we're trying to repair things, and but it's not scalable. So remanufacture is where you take things and effectively remake them, but at scale. So and I think that has to be something that we should be thinking about, and I have no idea how to do that. So Gemma, I think that's something that perhaps you'll have some ideas on as well.
So we've already got a few projects that are looking at remanufacture. So we've currently got our bike project, where we have prisons that the bikes go to, and they upcycle them so that they're then safe to be resold in our reuse shops. So that's a big part of remanufacture that we're involved with at the moment. We also have the television side of things, where these go away, they get pack tested, and make that we make sure that they're safe for resale in our shops. But at the moment, that's the only sort of remanufacture that we have going on within our sites. Everything else is either reuse or recycling. And so I was really interested to come along today to find out what you're all doing, because I really want to try and build on the repair side of things, and to look to see how we could possibly make that happen across our sites. And like I say, I'm really new to the role, and this is all just ideas at the moment, but I have a lot of experience of running the restart events and give and take events, and so it's something that I'd really like to bring to the role. But please bear with me, because I'm also really new, and so yes, I'm really excited to be here, and it's something that I'm really looking to build, or hoping to build on, moving forwards.
Great. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Gemma. I think that we've got a lot to talk about. So
hopefully, yeah, thank you for having me. And like I say, I'm really sorry for gate crashing this evening the way I have, but it's been quite exciting for me to hear about all of your ideas and what you're working on. And I'm really quite excited to come and visit and see it in person as well. So
you're welcome.
Thank you again.
You're welcome. So we will organise an open day for the repair barn at some point next month. So if anybody's interested in coming along, you can come along anytime, but we'll have a repair day, an open day or open afternoon. So that will be something that we'll put in the diary as well. But we'll send a message round to everybody when we agree on a date. Okay. Hey,
Tony, do you still have a question?
Well, I wanted to say about Andrew Jenkins to Gemma. I don't know if she come across him. He helped us a lot set up our first repair cafe before everything got locked down. He's with Bucks County Council, and he runs the Buckinghamshire Recycles Facebook page. Gemma, do you know?
He does indeed, and we have catch-ups every other week. And so I report into him for my role covering the recycling centres, and I work quite closely with him and Jess, who's about to go on maternity leave. And so, yeah, Andrew is a superstar and has already put me in touch with other community groups. I just saw this on Facebook very last minute and decided to join.
Okay, brilliant.
And he doesn't know that I'm here this evening, although I'm sure that he'll be pleased to know that I'm learning about all of the good things that are going on in Bucks.
Well, yes. So Andrew's been very supportive of me and or what we're doing in the repair barn as well. So that's good. So
fab, and as he should be.
So good. Any other last minute comments or questions?
It all sounds really good, Hugh. Thank you.
Yeah, I've got a list. I'll be contacting you.
Well, I am interested in your tap, and
I'll send you a picture.
Thank you very much. I'll look. You may have noticed actually that on the list of things that we repair, you wouldn't have seen any sanitary products on there. Or plumbing supplies, but we should, this is an issue, Tony, and I mean seriously, this is an issue. If it's not possible to repair these things, this is wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I thought it'd be better to let it leak, but that's wasting water. What do you do?
Well, yeah, I mean, you're quite right. I mean, the thing is, when you buy these things, you don't necessarily think about that, about the repairability aspect, and why should you? You're making an assumption that it is repairable.
Well, it's about 18 years old, so yeah.
Well, yeah, okay.
I wouldn't let it leak, Tony, because I've got damp in our ensuite bathroom because I had a gradual leak for a while, and it takes ages to get rid of the smell, but also the damage.
Luckily, it leaked into the sink. It comes near the lever. So yeah.
I've got a tap that looks the same, and it's actually got a little hole in it, so it was squirting out water. I'll just put a bit of Band-Aid on it.
Well done, Kath.
Yeah, that's my skill in repairing. Thank you, Hugh. That's really great.
Okay, well, thank you all for joining. It's been really enjoyable for me, and great to have all your comments. And hello, Marie. Nice to see you.
Thanks, Gemma. We look forward to working with you. I've sent you an email already.
Yeah.
I just saw it pop up in the corner. Thank you so much for having me. It's been really informative this evening. I appreciate it.
Okay, very good. Thank you all very much.
On behalf of all of us, a big thanks to you, Hugh. A round of applause. Thank you. That was really informative. Nice to make some new connections as well.
Yeah.
And thank you to everyone for, I was going to say coming out this evening, but for being here this evening.
Staying in this evening. Yes.
Staying in this evening. Hopefully you'll all find some use for the repair barn and spread the word about the importance of the circular economy. Please look out for future CANR Presents events, which will continue to be on Zoom in the short term, but hopefully one day we'll get back to in-person events as well. So,
can I just ask CANR buddies, did we facilitate this? Can we stay online and talk about the school trip or not?
well, actually, Hugh is host.